If you've been scrolling through endless listings, watching unboxing videos, and still feel that nagging doubt about which video recorder actually fits your surveillance needs, you're not alone. I've been there, staring at spec sheets and trying to guess whether a pro-grade device will actually make my life easier or just add another layer of tech headaches. The biggest fear is ending up with a piece of hardware that either sits idle because it's too complex, or worse, crashes when you need it most. That's why today's deep dive is all about cutting through the noise and helping you decide if the G2 Pro Network Video Recorder from Ubiquiti is the right fit for you. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of environment where a network video recorder, NVR, becomes more than a fancy box of LEDs. Imagine you run a boutique retail shop, a small office, or a multi-unit apartment building. You need a system that can handle multiple IP cameras, keep footage reliably stored for weeks, and give you remote access without forcing you to become a networking wizard. The G2 Pro is marketed as a pro solution, and it leans heavily into that promise with a 3.5-inch SATA enterprise hard drive built right in. That's not a consumer-grade drive you'd find in a home PC. It's designed for continuous write cycles, which means if you're recording 24/7 from, say, 8 1080p streams, the drive is less likely to overheat or fail prematurely. Now, the UI Care support and 5-year protection coverage are the two things that set this unit apart from a lot of generic NVRs you'll see on the market. UI Care essentially means you get remote assistance from Ubiquiti's team, not just a generic tech support line. In practice, that translates to someone walking you through firmware updates, network tweaks, or troubleshooting camera disconnects without you having to search forums at 2 a.m. The 5-year coverage is a peace-of-mind add-on that covers hardware replacement, which is a rare offering in this price bracket. If you're a small business owner who can't afford an IT staff on standby, those services become a real cost saver. Let's walk through a typical day with the G2 Pro in place. You arrive at the shop in the morning, grab a coffee, and fire up the Ubiquiti portal on your laptop. The dashboard shows live feeds from all your cameras, each labeled with the location you assigned during setup. Because the device lives on your local network, the video streams are essentially instantaneous, no lag like you'd get with cloud-only solutions. If a camera goes offline, the UI instantly flags it with a red badge, and you can click through to see the last recorded segment. That immediate visibility is something I've missed with cheaper NVRs that only send email alerts after hours of downtime. One of the practical strengths that becomes obvious after a week of use is the storage management. The built-in enterprise drive automatically cycles out footage based on a retention policy you set, whether that's 30 days, 60 days, or keep everything until the drive is full. Because it's an actual SATA drive you can physically replace, you aren't locked into a proprietary cloud quota. When the storage hits its limit, the system simply starts overwriting the oldest files, and you get a clear visual cue on the UI. For a shop that needs to keep evidence for insurance purposes, that transparency is invaluable. But there are hidden trade-offs that can catch a first-timer off guard. The G2 Pro expects a stable, wired Ethernet connection and performs best on a gigabit network. If you're trying to run it over Wi-Fi or a congested office network, you'll notice choppy playback and occasional frame drops, something you can't really fix from the UI alone. Also, the initial setup isn't a one-click experience. You'll need to assign static IPs or reserve addresses for each camera, and you'll have to configure port forwarding if you want remote access from outside your LAN. For a tech-savvy user, that's a small price to pay for the flexibility you get, but for a homeowner who just wants plug-and-play security, it can feel like stepping into a mini IT department. Another practical weakness is the lack of built-in battery backup. The device itself does not include an uninterruptible power supply, so any power outage means a hard stop to recording unless you pair it with an external UPS. I've seen a few small businesses skip that step, only to lose critical footage during a brief blackout. It's not a flaw in the hardware, but it's a hidden cost you have to factor into the overall budget. Who should definitely consider the G2 Pro? Small to medium enterprises that already have a structured network and need reliable, long-term storage without relying on recurring cloud fees. If you're already using Unify cameras or other Ubiquiti gear, the integration feels seamless, and the UI Care support can walk you through any firmware quirks that arise. It also makes sense for property managers who need to juggle multiple camera zones and want